Hello and welcome to Huskers HQ Overtime, presented by Tom Dinsdale. I'm Jack Sheard. With me is Husker football beat man Terry Douglas. Terry, looks like Nebraska's going to the Gator Bowl.
Florida bound.
Florida bound, and it looks like, completely unofficial as of right now, it looks like Clemson.
That's what we're hearing. And, you know, I guess until the bowl actually comes out with it themselves or the conference comes with that, I'm always hesitant to wonder because we've seen in past years a lot of backdoor deals go down. I'm thinking of Kansas State losing in the Big 12 championship game in 1998 and slipping all the way down to the Alamo Bowl. And so a lot of things get done handshakes and behind closed doors with these bowl games. But it seems to be all directions are pointing to Nebraska and the Gator right now.
And let's not talk about it too much until it's official.
Right.
But we will say a couple weeks ago, I said Nebraska's going to the Gator Bowl.
I said Sun Bowl.
Yeah,
yes.
So just so we know who's the expert, who's the amateur, or something like that. But hey, it's something we can talk about.
Who thought Notre Dame would have lost Syracuse? That's all I'm saying. All right. Go
My
ahead.
friends in South Bend, we can thank them for the Gator Bowl. 40-30, easy win for Nebraska.
40-31.
40-31, sorry. Easy win for Nebraska. You know,
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake. You know, maybe threw in a couple fancy-looking kicks there at the end just to make it look nice. Wow.
Yeah. I'll tell you, first of all, to talk about the kick, Alex Henry. Here's a guy, if this guy is still a walk-on kicker right now, that shouldn't be the case. So we got Nebraska has a backup kicker, Adi Kanalik, who's got a scholarship, and a guy who's making a 57-yard field goal to essentially win that game as a walk-on. Something needs to change there. So we'll see about that. But what can you say? When he was lining up from that kick, I gave him a less than 10% chance. And even after he hit the ball, we were right down at the goal line, and I saw it go up in the air, and I'm thinking, no chance. The thing lands in the middle of the end zone at best. And he puts it through, so you got to hand it to that guy. And a big decision by Bo Pelini and his staff to actually try that field goal and have confidence in a guy from that far out. So Nebraska obviously didn't play its best, but somehow found a way to win.
And that's not the first time this season Nebraska has not played their best and still won. And that's very, very encouraging.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to not have your A game with this team and to still come out with a victory, because as we've talked about so many times, Nebraska on defense is still susceptible to big plays and mistakes, as you saw with them getting down to Colorado 14-0 like that. And that seemed to be almost a little regression to some things that they were having earlier in the season. So, they stuck with the plan, continued with the offensive game plan of, keeping the ball away from the opponent. In the second half, the defense did figure out some things, got some pressure on Cody Hawkins, and that was big in the comeback.
Big thing with the defense that I noticed was Potter had a great game. Tyler Wortman had a great game.
Right.
Sue had a great game. That front group, that front seven, wow, they are really coming too. And if it is Clemson, Nebraska goes on to play. Some good matchups there. But that front part of that defense is playing great.
Right. One of the big things in Nebraska last year was just the total inability to get pressure on the quarterback. I think they averaged about a sack a game last year. And, that also has to do with defensive backs and linebackers getting on in blitzes. But I think what that signals is that you're not getting a great pass rush with just your front four. Essentially, a lot of the same guys back from last year, and what a difference a year has made. In the last three games, at certain times, they've completely dominated the offensive lines they've been facing. Ndamukong Suh, he's the potential that everybody's seen for the last couple of years is flashing right there. And Zach Potter, he's a guy that brings pressure on the end, and with a 6'7" frame when he gets up in the air, hard guy to throw over. And he's created as many interceptions as he has, probably created more than he has this year.
And Ty Steinkuhler is really coming along later this season. There's some names that we knew were good with Sue and Potter and Steinkuhler. And, Wortman, I think, is surprising a lot of people with the level of his play now that he's actually, as a starter, in the lineup later in the season. But these guys are guys that we expected to be good for a couple of years. And here they are when it's really getting down to it. Playing tough.
Right. Yeah, you see a lot of guys in Wortman's case, in Potter's case, seniors coming up and taking control of their senior season, and that's exactly what they've done. And the Nebraska's coaches will point out that early in the year, a lot of people said the defensive line was a question mark, and they're taking a lot of pride in pointing out that it's a strength right now. So, yeah, good for them, make that kind of improvement.
Another big improvement that we saw, and something that sure adds a lot of hope for the next couple of seasons. And it seems for 3 years now, we've been great at IBAC as far as depth. But knowing that we've got Halo,
Right.
and the way he's played these last couple games is a lot. It's taking a lot off the shoulders of Joe Gans right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, having a guy that can come in there and you can count on 100 yards per game, and if Marlon Lucky didn't have a turf toe injury, some people might argue this or not, but I think they would still be continuing with the rotation, and I think you will see the rotation in the bowl game, even though Halu's been blowing up in the last part of the season. I think you will still see that rotation in the bowl game, especially with it being Lucky's last game. But looking ahead, I think Roy definitely jumps in there as somebody you would look at as a feature back, and then they can bring the change up with Castile as long as he can take care of those ball handling issues and not put it on the carpet.
Something we didn't even mention here as we're going to wind down. Nebraska goals at the beginning of the season. You had talked about 7-5 as would be a good season. Playing some tough teams on the schedule. The 3-game stretch with Virginia Tech, Missouri, Oklahoma, or Texas Tech, and then later with Oklahoma, gauging the team, see how they are. In any of that talk, did we ever mention Big 12 North co-champions?
I guess not. On a technicality, Big 12 North co-champions. If you're Iowa State right now, you go out and you get rings made for this. But I think Nebraska has maybe set its standard a little bit higher than that. No shot at Iowa State. That was cheap. That was cheap. But yeah, to finish tied atop the North as far as record goes with Missouri, I think that exceeds expectations. And things kind of even out. I mean, you can get greedy and you could say, man, Nebraska was in a great position to beat Texas Tech. All they had to do was score, which is something they were finding easy to do in the second half, and kick an extra point and they win. But at the same time, 57-yard field goal to bail you out against Colorado. So I think it was Bill Parcells always said, you are what you are as term as record goes. So I think 8-4 is a really solid year for this team. A lot of momentum that was sustained by that win over Colorado. If they lose that game, maybe a little of that gets undercut. But now the 3-game winning streak going into the bowl game, if they could win 4 in a row, I think that would do a lot for the optimism into next year.
And you can't spot a team 35 points, but even going back to the Oklahoma game, not too many teams this year have outscored Oklahoma 28-27 over 55 minutes.
Again, thank Mr. Bob Stoops for his relationship with Bo Pelini for that.
Again, 35-0 start kind of wipes that out. But going back to that point in the game when Nebraska actually
the point is
playing,
that Nebraska didn't quit, and that was the thing about this team this year. You talk to guys. I remember talking to Grand Island guys, Todd Peterson, Tyler Wortman, at the beginning of the year. They wouldn't give me anything as far as predictions, bowl games, where they wanted to be. The only thing that they said was, I hope that we play hard every game, all game, game in, game out, entire season. And if we do that, we'll be happy. And I think Todd and Tyler were set of good examples there and had a lot of teammates that bought in, and I think that's what everybody did this year. And I think that's part of the difference of this team from maybe just being a 6-6 team to actually being an 8-4 was that they didn't give in, and even when they did get beat soundly, like at Missouri and Oklahoma, they came back with good efforts the next week. Even if they didn't win, they came back and played well and didn't get discouraged.
Well, there's definitely a lot to like about this Husker season and this team and what it's setting up for the future. But one more game to finish strong, and next week we'll talk about hopefully the Gator Bowl. I know you'd like to go to Jacksonville, right?
Sure. Bring it on.
Sounds good. All right, we'll see you later.